In this video, we're going to take a walk through the Spreadsheets Part 2 of the AAT Advanced Synoptic Assessment, Practice number 1. So I am in the AAT website on the Lifelong Learning portal in the Advanced Diploma Synoptic Assessment, and I'm going to click on Practice Assessments. Now, before you can do this, you must make sure you have followed the process to install the Surpass viewer in advance. I would also recommend that when doing part 1 of this assessment, you have the answers next to you. So the model answers are in PDF format. I would recommend you save these somewhere to your PC, and before you submit your answers on the AAT assessment, you just check what you have answered against the model answers, because at the end you will get a grade, but you won't get a breakdown of questions you got right or wrong. So it's important that you just check your answers before you press the final submit. So we're just going to go to the first assessment. Now, I am not going to do part 1 of this assessment. You'll notice that Surpass Viewer has opened, and we just need to keep our eyes on the tabs up there, just in case we lose our way. So, as I said, I am not going to do part 1, but do remember to take careful note of the scenario that you're given before you proceed to start the assessment. So I'm going to move beyond part 1 without completing it so that I can demonstrate part 2. And this will reset the timer. And here we are in part 2. So starting with task 2.1, I have to download 2 files. So I'll start with the assessment book and data. That's the Excel spreadsheet I'm going to use. Now, I recommend that you save this file somewhere, like for example on the desktop. It's going to be outside of the exam environment, so you can put it wherever you like. You can just put it straight on the desktop, or as you can see, I've created a folder on my desktop. Now, I'm experiencing an anomaly at the moment with this system, and the Excel data file is actually coming down with an odd name. I'm hoping this is something that will be corrected in the future, but I'm just going to put Practice Assessment 1. But you also need, in fact I won't do it like that, you also need data 2, I'm going to use an underscore 21. Mine is not being downloaded as an Excel file, it's coming down without a file extension, so I'm having to manually add that file extension, so which is XLSX. So you just put .xlsx at the end of your file name, and then when you save that into your folder, Windows will not know which piece of software to allocate to it. Now notice it's opened up a new tab up here, so I need to return to the original tab, which is the Surpass one, so that I can then download the instructions. So if I just click, so it comes in as a PDF booklet. I would recommend downloading it, and I'm going to put it in the same folder as my other file. Again, I've got this weird name, so I'll call this this should be, no, I'm going to have to do, I can see this is only for task 2.1, so I'm going to have to repeat this when I get to task 2.2. And again, I'm going to use an underscore, and again you need to put the .pdf file extension onto it if it isn't showing as save as type. Otherwise, again, Windows is going to get a little lost. Great, so there it is. Let me close that down, and now I'm returning to the assessment. So I click next to start. Oh no, sorry, return. I don't click next because I actually haven't done it yet. So before we go and have a look at those instructions and we scroll down a little bit, what you will see here is the area of the assessment I need to return to so that I can upload my spreadsheets. So just remember that unless you take this part, unless you do the upload process, there will be nothing for the examiners to mark. So you must make sure you give yourself enough time to do this, and you've got about 15 minutes extra time built in, and we normally say that, well, I would say that 2.1 is normally the longer one. Give yourself about 50 minutes for that, give yourself 40 minutes for 2.2, and then you've still got about 15 minutes left to do the upload, which you will have to do separately for the two questions. So we can see here we've got three parts to this question: apportioning overheads, flexing a budget, and then using goal seek. So I'm going to go ahead and find that downloaded data, and I've got the PDF instructions here, so I'll open that. And then I've also got the spreadsheet, and I'm going to open that. So it's important that you know how to place files side by side. So what I've done is I've just put the PDF on the left hand side of my window and the spreadsheet on the right hand side so that I can refer to them as I'm working. If you maximize the spreadsheet, you can, if you prefer, keep switching back between the tasks. So the tasks are included within the spreadsheet, and there's all the sheets that I'm going to need to work on. Or you can place your workbook to one side, and then I've got the PDF with the same instructions in it on the left. So it's pretty much whatever works for you, and you can also resize this ever so slightly just to get maximum Excel on screen. So I won't read this out to you. I shall assume that you have a copy of this to hand so that you can read it yourselves. But the important thing here is that we're being told that BLM originally budgeted to make and sell 5,000 sinks, but in fact they managed to sell 6,000 sinks. That's important information we need to carry through with us. Now I do recommend you read the entire question before you start approaching any of the tasks. If you read the entire question, it will give you more of a sense of what the examiners are hoping you will achieve, rather than just reading this information up here, going to the first one and then having a go and attempting it. So I shall assume that you've read the whole question now. And now let's just have a look at the information we've been given. So this is all about apportioning an overhead. We've been given some figures, so we've got the budgeted fixed overheads up here. We have got also some information, so we've got the carrying amount on the machineries, and we've also been told the floor space as well. And we've got some choices here, the basis of apportionment. And there is nothing that we can add to this table here or this table here. So all of the work that we're going to do is going to be down in this overhead apportionment table. Let's take a look at the first questions. So in cells B22 and 24, enter the appropriate basis from the list available here. So the most appropriate basis of apportionment for depreciation would be the carrying amount of the machinery, and rent and rates has already been filled in for us, so that's floor space. We have that information there, although we actually won't need it because the figures have been done for us. Or rather, it does say that Sam started the work last week and is picking it up this week. Now the most appropriate form of allocation for salaries will be just apportionment will just be allocation, because we can just apportion the full amount into the appropriate box. So that's step one. So it then says use formula to apportion the depreciation and salary overheads using the basis of apportionment you have selected. So whatever you've chosen here is the basis that you're going to use I've chosen carrying amount to apportion those costs there. So as we've chosen carrying amount, what we need to do is we've already been given the total from here. So there's the depreciation total, 71,500, and that figure has already been brought down for us. So what we need to do now is we need to apportion that total on the basis of the carrying amount. So the first thing I'll do when I do retail is I shall do equals the total. I could use this figure here or I could use this figure here, it doesn't make any difference, divided by the total number of the total carrying amount of all machinery. Then what I'm going to do, if I just put that into brackets, is multiply that by the multiply that by the retail amount. I'm in the retail column here, so I'm going to multiply that by the retail amount. I will repeat that process, so it's going to be the total depreciation amount divided by the total carrying value, only this time I'm going to multiply it by the manufacturing carrying amount alone. Now there's no administration carrying amount on machinery, so I can leave the next box blank. Don't worry, this seems to be coming up automatically in purple. That isn't something I've done. If that happens, just leave it exactly as it is. So the salaries are easy to do because they're just direct allocation. So this is retail. Let's go and pick up the retail one. So if you can do things just by using equals, it's just a little bit more efficient rather than trying to retype the figures, which could lead to an error. Okay, so there's our salaries. And now finally we need to just create a total so we can see all of the costs so far. So let's just do, actually let's work as quickly as we can. So let's just do that and see what happens. Great, so I have my totals in here now. If it helps you, just to remind you that they are totals, there's no shame in just adding something else. You won't lose marks. You could even just highlight that. So there we go. Now we've got the all of the totals in now. So it did actually say use a formula to calculate the total of each profit and cost center in row 25, and we have done that there. Reapportion the total cost of the administration support to retail. Okay, make the screen a little bit bigger for you. So let's do the reapportionment. Now we know that we have been told that 70% of the admin costs go to retail and 30% to manufacturing. So what we'll do is under retail we shall say it's going to be the total of administration. Have I got that right? No, the total of administration there, and we're going to just multiply that by 70% and then do the same again, multiply that only this time by 30%. And I'm just going to double check that I've got the right total here. It should come to 73,621. So if I just briefly highlight, we can see down the bottom here. Yeah, I've got the right amount. So going back to our questions again, it says calculated the budgets, and we've done that. Use a round function to show the totals for retail and manufacturing as whole numbers. So we just need to put in the totals now. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm simply adding together the subtotal and then the reapportionment admin cost, like so, but it does say that it wants it rounded, so I'm just going to surround that formula there. Actually, let's do it in cell. So I'll just surround that formula with the round function to 0 decimal places. So even though I'm showing decimal places here, we've rounded the figure up by that 70p has disappeared and gone up to £2 there, and I can just pull that formula across. I'm just going to tidy things up a little bit because I've got a mixture of comma separate, you know, the thousand separator, so I'm just going to just neaten things up a little bit. And if you've got the time, I mean, now's the time. If you want to, you can change the font color if you like. It then says, in order to check your totals, use conditional formatting to color F27 green if it equals cell C9. So this is F27, this is my final total, if it matches cell C9, which is the fixed, the budgeted fixed overheads. So we can see we've done a good job here. So when we apply the conditional formatting, we would expect it to be green. But if it doesn't, we have to make sure it goes red. I'm just going to maximize this so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. Here we go. So I'm going to use conditional formatting here. So this is the cell that I'm formatting. If I say, I'm just going to use a new rule here now. I could use, you could use these highlight cell rules, because you could use the equal to, but because we've been given such a very specific color, I'm probably not going to use that. I'm just going to go straight to new rule. So I'm going to say format only cells that contain, and that's going to get me to the right layout here. So I want where the cell value of this cell here is equal to this cell here. Oops, click, click. Format the fill to green. Good, that has worked. Then I have to do it again, because if that hadn't have equaled, I'm being asked to format it to red. So again, another new rule, format only cells that contain, where the cell value is not equal to C9, format it as red. Okay, now of course I'm not going to see that happen because they are the same, but if I just artificially change a number up here, can you see how these two numbers are no longer the same? And it has worked, it has changed my cell to red. Let me just undo that change to change it back to green again. Okay, so I think I'm done on task A. Yeah, so we're on to task B now. So we need to go to the original budget worksheet, and it says in cell D1, use a formula to calculate the percentage by which to flex the original budget in light of the actual activity. So remember, they budgeted, where's it gone? They budgeted 5,000, but they sold 6,000. So let's make this a little bigger. So this is the cell I need to put that into. So I'm going to do equals. Now I've got a couple of choices here. You could do 6,000 divided by 5,000, and I'm going to format that as a percentage, 120%, and it does say that, let's just double check. Yes, if we see here, it says format cell D1 as a percentage to 2 decimal places, and that's exactly how it's come up. Now I could either do it that way where I get 120% up here. The alternative is I just find the percentage increase, in which case I'm going to have to do 6,000 minus 5,000, and I'm just going to put that in brackets to ensure it works properly. In which case I just get the 20%. Now either are acceptable, but just remember which one you've used, because that will make a difference how you move forward. In cells D7 to D13, create a flexed budget, insert formulas to flex the revenue and costs where necessary using absolute referencing to the percentage in D1. So all I need to do here is here's my original figures, and then I'm going to flex those into this column here. Now I've just noticed that I don't have any figures here. Have I? I think I might have missed a step out. Yes, I did. I accidentally missed a step out here. It says copy and paste link the totals for retail and manufacturing into cells C12 and C13. In other words, I need to go back to my absorption sheet, and these two figures here I need to copy into the other sheet, but they want them paste linked. So I'm going to do that now. Copy, and that's retail, paste link. I'll just repeat that process. Copy and paste link. Okay, so let's do this flexed budget. So it's going to be equals, in this case I've only got the 20%, so I'm going to have to go, it's the budgeted cost plus the budgeted cost times by the flexed percentage. I just need to be a little bit careful with that percentage, because as I fill down, I don't want that D1 to change. I'm just going to make that absolute. And now I can fill that down. So there's my flexed budget. Now I did get a little bit carried away there. I've gone too far. Let me just take that back a little, because these figures here are fixed, and as we know, you don't flex a fixed cost. So let me just correct that. So now what I've got to do is just, I might reduce the size of that a little. I have got to now put my variances in, and it says making sure that any variances that are adverse are a minus sign. So let's do that now. So my variances, now the top row is revenue. So the business has actually sold more, generated more revenue than anticipated. So just be careful on the revenue. We obviously want that to be a positive variance. So we're just going to do actual minus flexed to give us our favourable positive variance there. However, when we come to the costs, we have to do that in reverse. So we're going to look at the flexed minus the actual, so that if we do see an overspend, as we do in this case, it does come up as a negative adverse. I'm just going to fill that down. Now I just need to check and insert a formula to calculate the operating profit variance. Well, I haven't put my operating profits in. Okay, so calculate the operating profit for the original budget, flex budget, and actual results. Let's do that now then. So in here we're going to have equal. So remember, this is your revenue. So it's going to be your revenue minus the sum of the costs. Let's just copy that across to the 3 columns. And then finally we need to find a total overall variance here. So all I'm going to do is just use the sum function to get the overall variance. Or should I say the operating profit variance. So now we're on to part C, and it says that Brian and Lakmani have been told that they need to have a target profit for the next quarter of 220,000, and we're being asked to use the goal seek function to calculate this. So first thing we need to do is copy the original budget worksheet and paste, not paste link, into the goal seek worksheet. So let's do that. So we need to pick up everything in this worksheet and copy it, and then we have got a goal seek worksheet, and we just need to paste the data into there. And the goal seek that we're looking for, we're looking to change the actual operating profit there by seeing how much we need to reduce our direct materials by. So let's just double check that. So it says how much do we need to reduce direct material to cost to achieve an actual operating profit of 220,000. Then it says when the completed goal seek dialog box is showing, but before you click OK, take a screenshot to capture the evidence and then accept the goal seek. Paste the screenshot in the screenshot worksheet. Right, so let's do the goal seek first. So this is the value we're hoping to change. So let's go to data, what if, goal seek. So that's already got E14 in it. Then we want to change that value, the value in this cell, we want to change it to 220000. And we want to change that cell by changing the value in the direct materials to actual result, which is this cell here. Now, it did clearly say that before we click OK, we need to take a screenshot. I think it's good practice just to move it out of the way of any underlying data, and then that way every possible mark is available to you. You can either use the print screen button on your keyboard now. I personally like to use the little snipping tool that comes with Windows, and I'm just going to go to New here, and then I'll probably pick up my headers as well. I've done a screenshot there. Now I'm just going to leave that screenshot parked. If you've done print screen, you won't see anything happen because it's being held. This is why it goes a bit funny at this point. So let me just cancel the goal seek. So if you get, as I did, in a little bit of a mess, and between doing the print screen you lose your goal seek, that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to go ahead and do that goal seek again. I'm safe in the knowledge that that print screen is still sitting there on my clipboard. So I'm going to click OK to accept it. There we go, that's the desired result. I'm going to leave that sheet exactly where it is, and now I'm going to go to my screenshot and paste. So that's it, just prior to me clicking OK. So that is the end of task 2.1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save my workbook. You will have been given a name to give this workbook. It might be your name, it might be the AAT number, it probably have today's date in it. You will have already saved this workbook, probably with a file save as with the appropriate name. So I'm going to save that now, and I've returned now to the exam environment, and I'm going to click on upload files. Now unfortunately this isn't available because this is just a practice assessment, but if you were in the live environment you would then have the mechanism by which to upload that workbook, that Excel workbook that you have just been working on. Do be absolutely careful that you upload the finished one and don't inadvertently upload the original one that you downloaded that has no work in it. So just be very careful to get the right one. If you have a disaster and you upload the wrong one, don't worry, you can delete it and you can re-upload the correct one. So now I'm going to proceed on to task 2.2. There we go. So this is what the upload screen looks like, and it's just warning me that I haven't uploaded anything, which I know because it wouldn't let me. So we're going to have to go through the same process again of downloading the Excel workbook and the PDF instructions, and I'll pick up this video once I've done that. So I've done that, and I've got the PDF instructions on the left of my screen and my Excel workbook on the right of my screen, and I'm currently showing the assessment tasks worksheet. Give myself a bit more room there. So once again we are Sam, and we are looking at the fact that BLM has suffered a computer crash, and I will assume you've read the instructions in full and always read all of the points that you need to do before you start working on it. But we need to work on the Invoices Worksheet, and we need to use a lookup function to pull the prices from the price list, which is on the price list worksheet, into the invoices where they have been missed off. So we've got the net sales column to complete and the gross sales column to complete. So let us use the function builder to go and get the lookup. So I need to go and get the prices first. Now obviously net sales is going to be the quantity sold by the unit price. It's the unit price I'm going to get first. So let me use the lookup function. Now the lookup value I'm going to use is going to be the unique item number. The table array is on a different worksheet. It's down here in price list. So I'm just going to highlight the table array there. Now always be careful to make that absolute. You don't want your table array to shift when you fill down your lookup. And then the column index number I need, before I type that, I'm pulling the price, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my column index number. Just type a 4 in there, and then finally I finish this by putting false into the range lookup and OK. There we go, I've got £127, and because this is a very long list, you can click and drag, or you can double click, and that should do the lot for you. As long as there's no gaps in this column, that will fill all the way down to row 392. So I'm just going to end up arrow. There we go. End and down arrow will always take you down, and then end and up arrow on your keyboard will take you up. It's very useful. So we've got the net sales, but do be careful at this point. You could easily think that's done, but it isn't, because remember we haven't multiplied it by the quantity yet. So all I'm going to do is just at the end of this lookup just say multiplied by the quantity, and there we go. And then I'm just going to double click to fill that down again. So that's my net sale, and now what I need to do is work out what the gross sale is by multiplying my net sale by 20%, or rather adding on 20% of the net sale. So that's just going to be equals net sales plus, and then I'll put this in brackets, net sales again multiplied by 20%, close my brackets, but do be careful just to make that value absolute so it doesn't change when we fill down. There we go, there's my gross sale, and down we go. So that's my job done there. I'm now being asked to use the remove duplicate function, and I have to, just before I click the OK button, take a screenshot to capture the evidence and then click OK. So let's go ahead and do that. So in the Invoices Worksheet, I'm just going to plonk my cursor anywhere in the data and then go to the data ribbon, remove duplicates. I'm going to leave this all highlighted, rather all selected, and then click OK. Oh no, I don't click OK, do I? Stop. I have to take a screenshot first. So again, print screen on your keyboard, or like me, I use the snipping tool again. I'm just going to grab that data, or grab that screenshot rather, and then click OK to let it finish. And just take a note of the fact that it says it's found two duplicates, and then I'll click OK. And let me just go and paste that screenshot in here with a paste there, and then when I return to rather the Invoices Worksheet, I'm then instructed to type into here how many duplicates were found. That would be the next point on the instructions. Finally, the instructions ask me to use the to find the average gross invoice value and place it in here. So what I'm going to do is use the average function on the gross go. There we go. That's just a simple average function required there. That would have been that task, and then format the numerical data in the net and gross sales invoice columns to the accounting style to 2 decimal places. Let's just go ahead and do that quickly then. So there we go, and then from the home ribbon up here to accounting style to 2 decimal places, which is its default, so that's done. Good, so I've done that task now. So task C is asking me to prepare a pivot chart and a pivot table from the invoices information. I need to ensure that the pivot table is in chronological order. Oops, I think I've missed a bit. So I've got to put it in a new worksheet showing the number of diamond type sinks sold in each of the 6 months from July to December. In chronological order. I'll come back to the next bit. Let's just get the chart in. So I'm going to go insert pivot table, so it picks up my data automatically, as you can see there. I'm choosing a new worksheet. My new worksheet has been created. A bit bigger, and I'm going to, because it wanted me to do it by month, so it's diamond sink sales by month. So type is the information. If we just go back to invoices, can you see how we've got type? We've got jade, emerald, diamond, quartz, etc. So that's what's telling me that I need to use, and I'm going to put that as my main filter, and then I can just change that to diamond. And then I'm going to use when as my row labels. Let's just tidy that up. Call that month, just a little bit neater. You could do it as columns as well, that's fine. And then finally I'm looking at how many were sold, so I'm going to use quantity sold in my values field and make sure it's the sum of quantities sold. And yes, there it is, sum of quantities sold. And then finally diamond, I'm going to apply a filter so that we only see in diamond. It told me to do it chronologically, which it has. I'm happy with that. So all I need to do now is go to my pivot table toolbar and click on pivot chart, and it will automatically put in a chart. Because my cursor was sitting in my pivot table when I clicked pivot chart, it's automatically created a pivot chart based on the data in my pivot table. So just returning to the questions. So it says format the chart series to show the highest sales in black, lowest in red, and add a chart title of diamond sinks sales and change the worksheet to diamond sinks sold. Gosh, let's see if I can remember that. So we need a title of diamond sinks sales, and we need a worksheet of diamond sinks sold. That's that. And then I think it was the, oh gosh, I'm going to forget this. So this appears to be the highest, September. I think September. Now notice when I click once, everything gets selected, but then when I click a second time on September, only September is selected. So when I do a right mouse click, I know I'm only going to be changing the fill of September. Then I repeat that for August. One click, right mouse click, change the fill to red, and that's changed the series of those two. I think that's it. Yep, that is. So let's move on to the next part. It says we're preparing the final accounts for BLM, and we need to do a partnership, update the partnership current accounts, and do a profit appropriation. Actually, let's keep that one to the side because there's a lot of information we're going to need to look up while we're going along here. Okay, so we need to complete the partnership appropriation statement on BLM1. Where is it? Let's find it. There it is. Okay, so let's just make this just a bit bigger. Right, so here's the appropriation statement. We need to fill that in first, and then once we've done that and we've calculated how much of the residual profit available and share it out, we can then do the partnership current account. So let's start with the profit for the year first. So the profit for the year is £250,000. So that's going to go in up there. Then we have the salaries. So Lakmani got 25,000. Brian got 0. The interest on the drawings, Brian's interest was 300 and Lakmani's is 180 on the drawings. We're told all of this information over here. We're just pulling it across. Commission for Brian was 8586 and for Lakmani is 8500. Right, so now let's do the calculations we have here. So if we started with 250,000, we want to work out, having taken into this account these figures, how much will be left to share. So it's going to be, actually I'm not there yet, am I, because I haven't put the totals in. So actually let's total horizontally first. So we're going to be equals, no actually, yeah, no, let's make this easier for ourselves. So let's just go all the way across and then there we go, click sum. That works better. Now I didn't make those go red, by the way, that was just what the worksheet was doing, so I'm just going to leave it alone to do that. So I've got my totals now, so it's going to be equals the profit minus any salaries, then we add on the interest on the drawings because the Lakmani and Brian owe that back to the business, and then we take away the commission that they've earned. So that's the amount of profit that we have available to share between the two of them. So we are told that the profit share is on a ratio of 3:2. So I'm going to say here it's equals that. Now we could say divided by 5. Let's do it that way. So let's do divided by 5 and then divided by 5, and then in Brian's case he gets a 3 share. I'm just going to make that absolute so I can pull it across. And in Lakmani's case, let's just fill that across. I just need to change that. She gets a 2 share. And then when I add those two up together, yeah, that's good. I've got the same amount. That's just a little double check, which is excellent. And then finally what we're going to do is we're going to now total down. Let's start off with Brian. So it's always going to be, salary, of which Brian has 0, less any interest owed back to the business on drawings, plus commission, plus profit share. And then I'm just going to, whoops, I think I did, there we go, draw that across. And then I'm going to double check by saying equals, this is cross-casting, this amount plus this amount. Look at that, perfect. It's in the exact match. So if you get to this point and your value there doesn't match your value there, you've done something wrong. So we now have to complete the partnership current accounts. Let's just do this. So let's just bring down the information from above. Let's start with salary. So we've got some balances brought down. Let's start with salary up here. So Brian had 0, so we'll go for it anyway. So let's just equals there, and then I can drag that across because that's then going to drag across. If I just double click to prove that, see that drags across for Lakmani, so that's good. Now I've got to do interest on drawings. Now interest on drawings is going to be a debit in the partnership current account. So let's, oh no, sorry, I beg your pardon, I got ahead of myself then, didn't I? Now it's drawings. Now that's some information I need to go back to the question paper to get. So Brian has taken 91,200 and Lakmani has taken 84,400. So what have we got here? I just have to type those in. 91,200 and 84,400. Right, back to pulling the information from above again. Now we've got the interest on the drawings. I'm going to stay on the same side because this is going to reduce what the business owes Brian and Lakmani. Same idea again. And then over to do the commission. And that's it, we've got everything. Oh no, we haven't got the profit share, have we? So be careful, pick up the profit share, not the total. Okay, now all I'm going to do is now balance these accounts off. Do you know what I'm going to do for demonstration purposes? I'm just going to hide Lakmani so you can see what I'm doing here. So we just balance, like balancing off any regular T account here. So I can see clearly that this is the higher of the two columns. So what I'm going to do is work out the sum of that column, and then I'm going to use the same figure on the other side. And then what I'm going to do is find the balance carried down by saying it is equal to this figure here minus the sum of anything above in that column. Then I get my balance carried down. So that's Brian done. Let's unhide. So we can, oops, did that wrong. Unhide. So now I'm just going to repeat that process for Lakmani. Now I should, so this one here is the higher. Yep, I can just fill that across, then that, and I should be able to just copy across. And if you get your calculator, if you're not sure, get your calculator out and just double check. If you have time, of course. If you don't, just hope that it's right. And I'm just fiddling around, just tidying up my borders. I don't think that this is required in the exam, but if you've got the time, then why not? Okay, I'm just going to take that 0 out. I don't need it there. And then I'm pretty happy with what I've done there. Let's just go and check the questions to see if I'm done. Complete the partnership appropriation statement of the current accounts. Yes, that's it. That's it. Task 2.2 finished. So all I need to do now is, as before, to make sure I've saved it, given it the correct name, whatever that's going to be, and then I will return to the task 2.2 exam environment, scroll down. You can tick these if you like. It actually makes no difference whatsoever. That's just for your own purpose. It's just a little checklist for you. I tell you what is handy though, actually, when you have a look and you can see the marks allocated here. So you can see where you're supposed to put all your efforts. And then you're going to click upload. It won't work. And then you are going to finish. So you can just check your answers with the model answers that you will have downloaded earlier. And that's the end of part 2 of assessment 1.